Hi, good people. First, I want to thank all my subscribers and those taking time to like my videos. From the bottom of my heart, thank you very much for taking time to support me. Whoa, the gift that keeps giving. Come and watch one among so many trading videos about P Diddy. Watch this video.
So I got to tell you, last night I was actually doing a lecture at USC, and I got a call from one of our producers. Apologies to the students that I bailed, but we broke a story that Diddy got arrested last night.
Arrested last night in New York City by the feds.
And I got to tell you, Charles, I have never read 14 pages that contained so much
many allegations.
Shocking information and allegations. Diddy, among other things, he has been accused of sex trafficking, engaging in a conspiracy to foster prostitution, racketeering, kidnapping, narcotics offenses, arson, bribery. That is the beginning.
And the feds lay this all out. That they say that basically his organization, his company, which they refer to as the Combs Enterprise, which certainly sounds more like a
mob,
outfit, that it existed mainly to fuel his desires, often his sexual desires. And they lay out in detail a lot of those sexual desires in this indictment.
So one of the centerpieces, and we've talked about this before, are these freak-off parties that Diddy hosted. And, you know, we all knew...
That's the allegation. And remember, Cassie that first came to light in Cassie's lawsuit, where she talked about these freak-off parties that he would have at hotels she said, in Atlanta, Miami, L.A., and New York.
And they were essentially orgies. But the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, who filed this, laid this out at a press conference and specifically addressed the freak-offs.
The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant. As alleged, when Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse so that they would participate in the freak-offs. In addition to the violence, the indictment alleges that Combs threatened and coerced victims to get them to participate in the freak-offs. He used the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of the freak-offs as collateral against the victims.
Now, they say they found those recordings of the freak-offs during the raids on his homes in Miami and here in L.A.
Which opens up a whole Pandora's box of who is in this. One of the things they are alleging, and this is the prostitution charge, which is that Diddy would bring male porn stars across state lines to participate in these freak-offs and essentially victimize, I mean, that's the way they're putting it, some of the women who were pressured to be part of this.
Yeah, the feds are alleging, Harvey, a full-scale criminal enterprise here. They say that Diddy was conspiring with many people, mostly his employees, to engage not just in drawing people out across state lines for the purpose of prostitution, forcible coercion of sexual acts, forced drugging and raping of women, guns, all sorts of crimes, and
drugs,
it's all part of a criminal, in
you heard
huge quantities
Damian
of drugs.
The U.S. attorney talk about these.
GHB, oxy, ketamine, which he mentioned, cocaine,
huge quantities of
MDMA.
drugs.
I mean, just really, Charles, this 14 pages is
They packed a lot in those 14 pages, and it is now, you know, Diddy's, we should say, his side. His attorneys have said that they're disappointed. I always find that weird when they say, we're disappointed that they decided to pursue this. Well, of course you're disappointed they decided to pursue it. But in court today, Diddy did plead not guilty to all the charges, and his attorneys say he is innocent, and they're going to fight this in court.
So we actually got his lawyer going into court, and not only said he was not guilty, said he didn't do it.
He came here to surrender at a time agreeable to the U.S. Attorney's Office, and then they arrested him last night. I spent the evening with him. I was with him until about 1 o'clock. His spirits are good. He's confident. He is dealing with this head on, the way he's dealt with every challenge in his life, and he's not guilty. He's innocent of these charges. He's going to plead not guilty, obviously. He's going to fight this with all of his energy and all of his might and the full confidence of his lawyers. And I expect a long battle with a good result for Mr. Combs.
Do you think he'll be released?
I'm going to fight like hell to get him released, and he should be released.
So when we broke this story, what happened was Diddy was staying at the
Park Hyatt
Hotel in Midtown Manhattan. He apparently knew this was coming.
Yes, he's been preparing for this. And just hours before his arrest, was walking around the streets of New York,
Talking to fans,
taking selfies with them. He and his son, Christian King Combs, were walking around talking to fans. So he seemed like he didn't have a care in the world. He'd been there earlier in the week. He was, over the weekend, was in Central Park hanging out. So they have said, his team has said, look, he came to New York voluntarily because he was cooperating.
So let's get into the fact that the judge denied Diddy bail.
Right.
And that's a big deal.
Big deal. The judge basically said that he is going to be behind bars until his trial begins, whenever that is. The judge said that
and by the way, that could be a year from now.
That prosecutors had shown enough evidence that he was either a flight risk and or a danger to others and potentially witnesses as well, because the feds
say he tampered with witnesses.
That he's tampered with witnesses in the past.
Now, when we broke this story last night, we said the plan was for him to surrender today.
Right.
And now we know why they swooped in last night instead.
Well, at least according to Diddy's attorney.
But it makes sense.
Yes, Diddy's attorney outside court, after the judge denied him bail, suggested that the reason that the feds went and arrested Diddy at his hotel room last night is so that they could then go into court today and demand that he be held without bail.
Because if he showed up, it would seem he's not a flight risk.
That he's not a flight risk. He actually went down and surrendered, but that didn't happen, and Diddy's attorney thinks that was all part of the plan so that he would be held without bail.
So,
I hope you watched the video from beginning to the end. It's important. Please remember to subscribe, share, and like. Thank you.